In yesterday's lesson, I tried to talk to you guys about sum of cubes and difference of cubes, and some of you got it really well, some of you got it less well. So I'm going to try and go through one or two quick examples here so we can see it again. The first thing I would remind you guys of is what the formula is for sum of cubes, right? If you are given something that is a cubed plus b cubed, something cubed plus something else cubed, how does that thing factor? We had the acronym SOP that we were using. Because the way this factors is you end up with a binomial and a trinomial. And SOP effectively tells you what the signs are going to be. The S stands for same, so because this is a plus in the middle, it's going to be a plus here. The next letter in SOP is O, so that's the opposite of that sign. See, yeah, you like. We get a minus for this one. And P, the last letter, means positive because the last one is always going to be a plus. All we need to do is write down what happens in between. Inside of this is a and b. Over here is a squared, ab, and b squared. This is the formula for how you deal with every sum of cubes problem. Right? Now I have an example of that over on the left. If you are struggling with these problems at all, these are sort of the steps that I recommend for you. For the first step, write down what is A and what is B. And note, A and B are the things that get cubed to turn into the whole problem. So if this is A cubed, then what is A? A is X. Because if I were to cube X, I would get X cubed. Now what's B? B is the thing that I have to cube in order to get 8y cubed. So what do I have to multiply by itself 3 times in order to get 8y cubed? Should be not just 2, but 2y. And you imagine if I did 2y times 2y times 2y, I would get 8y cubed. Okay? Once you've identified those values, it's simply a matter of plugging the things into the formula. The first part of my formula says I'm supposed to have a plus b. So I'm going to do a plus b. The second part of my formula tells me that I'm supposed to do a squared minus ab plus b squared. So I'm going to sort of prep to write down that trinomial. The first part is a squared. What is a squared for this problem? It's x squared. Then we have minus. Then the next part is supposed to be a times b. Well, a was x, b was 2y. What happens when I multiply those together? I get 2xy plus, the last part is b squared. So what was b? B was, if you actually look at it, b was actually 2y. So if I square that, it's going to be 4y squared, and you're done. The reason it's 4y squared is that b was originally 2y, and this problem is asking me to do 2y squared. That square needs to be distributed to both things, so you'll have 2 squared y squared, which is what gives me 4y squared for the last term of the trinomial. So assuming you got that, we do have one other example to look at that's hiding over here. So this is a sum of cubes problem. It's one cube plus another cube. The first step that you guys need to take is you need to identify, as I said in the previous problem, what is A and what is B. So take a minute, find out what A and B are. We'll check those, and then we'll do that together. So when you start this problem, we recognize that A should be 3x, because 3x times 3x times 3x gets me 27x cubed. And B is what times what times what is 512?
8.
And that's 8. And to be honest, that's just something you memorize. Yesterday in class we made a list of the cubes. We made a list of the fact that 1 cubed was 1, that 2 cubed was 8, that 3 cubed was 27, and 64, 125, 216, 343, 512, 729, and 1,000. Those were the first 10 perfect cubes. So since we recognize, hey, 512, that's 8 cubed, we knew that b was going to be 8. Now that you have those two values, you should be able to go through and actually factor this expression into the binomial and the trinomial. So take a minute and do that now. So following the formula from before, following this pattern, this first one should be 3x plus 8. The first term over here should be 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. Then we take the opposite sign. This middle term is supposed to be a times b. 3x times 8 is 24x plus, and then the last term is just where I take b and multiply it by itself. 8 times 8 is 64. And this is the fully factored version of this sum of cubes binomial.